welcome to the Lines in the Water podcast, the podcast where we discuss our love and experiences about saltwater fishing. Carlos Obregon, your co-host, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Captain Todd Wilson.
How are y'all doing out there tonight?
How you doing, Todd?
Doing good. Doing good.
Well, this is our inaugural podcast.
Yeah.
How do you think? What do you think about it?
I think it's good.
Yeah?
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing a podcast for a while, specifically when you were the owner of Laguna Madre Tournaments.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's it. That's history.
yeah, that is history. That is history.
Bittersweet.
We had a lot of fun. We did have a lot of fun.
Had a lot of years.
Why did you stop doing tournaments?
You know, it was kind of a bittersweet thing. I enjoyed doing the tournaments. It was fun for a lot of years. And quite honestly, I did it for a tax write-off purpose, you know?
Yeah.
And kind of milked it till it was dry. And it just got to be to where it was a lot of work. It was fun, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to get back to fishing tournaments as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, the thing about running a tournament is it's not just captain's meeting and tournament day.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a full-time job. You have sponsors that you have to go visit and take to lunch and take to dinner, and they want to go fishing, and and then you've got sponsor packets to build, and you got to order trophies for every tournament, and you got to make sure that you get your venues lined out, and there's a lot of work behind the scenes than just captain's meeting day and tournament day, and I just didn't have time for it anymore. It kind of took the fishing side of it for me out of the equation. So it was more work than it was getting to fish and enjoy myself, and that's what I want to do. I want to fish more.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I can definitely tell you just from the 2 years that I came on board as your marketing director, like it was a lot of work. I mean, a lot of the guys would probably say that I didn't do as much work, but running your page, I know when I came on board, I came on strong, and we were posting, I was posting pretty much 4 to 5 times a week.
Yeah.
And the work that was involved with that, it was a lot.
Well, I know keeping up with the website is definitely a challenge because you have a bunch of different tournaments. I mean, we were doing 9 to 15 tournaments a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of tournaments, and a lot of benefit tournaments, and fun stuff too. But still, even if you're doing a benefit tournament, it's a lot of work. Just getting the staff and everybody to come on board and help out, and for the weekends, people were taking off work because you got to be there Friday. You got to go out of town. I mean, it's a challenge, but it was fun. I'm glad I did it. I enjoyed it. Tournament company is sold now. It's somebody else's baby. It will no longer be under Laguna Madre Tournaments.
Right.
I'm not allowed to say who bought it.
Yeah.
But it's sold. So, good luck to the new owner. And, people will notice the trailer when it's out there. So it's pretty...
I mean, it's pretty hard to miss, to be honest with you. It's pretty hard to miss. So tell me, what got you initially into doing tournaments?
So I fished a lot of them. And, we started the saltwater roundup, the Auto Nation saltwater roundup when I worked there.
I remember that one.
And I just kind of got intrigued by it and kind of got drug into it from running that one. It was a successful tournament. I mean, our first year, I think we donated over $20,000 off a one-day tournament to Driscoll Children's Hospital, and we got to where we were donating $47,500 was the last year, which, that's a lot of money. We gave a boat away each year in the initial setting. I'm trying to think, first year, I think we gave away a Jeep, and then we gave away a jet ski, and then we gave away a four-wheeler, and then we started giving away Mayak boats.
Yeah.
And the Mayaks were big sponsors of that, and they were always big sponsors of Laguna Madre Tournaments and everything we did. And they're still, sponsors of ours. They're a great company. They really support the community, which is good. But this line's in the water. I mean, you and I have talked about this for a year and a half.
Yeah, it's been about a year and a half.
It's been a long time. And, with doing the tournaments, and then we were doing 2 radio shows every week, and, trying to have personal lives and work.
So that was my other question. So what's next? I mean, we're doing the podcast.
Right.
This is our inaugural.
Yeah,
our first show.
Right.
So what's next for you?
Back to fishing. Back to fishing. We'll do the podcast, and really the purpose of this podcast, and you and I have talked a little bit, but not a lot about it, really.
Right.
We just kind of do our thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it all seems to work out. But when we initially talked about this, we wanted to do something, for the weekend angler who gets out there but doesn't get out there as much as a guide or a tournament fisherman, and kind of give them, what tournaments are about and how to go about fishing in a tournament. Because I'll tell you, I'll never forget this. I had a pro redfish tournament that we produced years ago. You weren't involved at the time, but we had a guy show up in a 16-foot Mako boat with, I don't know, like a 40 horsepower motor on it. These 2 guys that were young, they're probably like 20, 21.
Your typical weekend angler.
Yeah, typical weekend angler, and they go and join this pro tournament, and we draw numbers for lead position for the next morning, right? And I think they drew like 4 or 5 or something, and they're fishing against boats that have 400s on them, 350s, and when we called their number, they said, "Hey, we're going to go last." I'm like, okay, cool. They didn't want to get run over, I guess.
Exactly.
And so they left last, and they show up to the tournament with a great stringer. They get first place, and these guys have zip-up wading boots, board shorts on, no shirts, and they were just stoked. They were just so excited about winning this tournament because they got a payday.
Yeah.
And it could be, any given day.
Yeah,
you can go out there and just tear the fish up, and you don't have to be a pro to fish these tournaments.
No, you don't. You mentioned that, and I can tell you, at least from what I see, and I mean, I when I got started in saltwater fishing, croaker soaker.
And that's okay, because I'm going to tell you, I fish with lures.
Yeah.
I love the lure fish. I love the wade fish. It's pretty much all I do. I mean, it is all I do, really.
Yeah.
But I hold nothing against anybody that fishes any other way.
Yeah.
Everybody has their love for fishing. Some people like to sit in the boat and listen to the radio and drink beer and soak croaker or shrimp, whatever. Some people like to drift. Some people like to wade fish. There's all kinds of different ways to fishing. And, I support all of them as long as they're out there doing it and enjoying it and having fun.
Yeah.
And, I support it all. So.
Yeah, so I will tell you, when I first started saltwater fishing, when I moved to Corpus the first time in 2007, I tried to treat it like freshwater fishing.
Yeah.
And completely different beast. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd get skunked every day, or I would catch catfish and get excited.
I remember.
I would catch catfish and get excited, and until somebody told me, like, no, you're not supposed to eat hardheads. I didn't even know what they were. So I started using shrimp. Then I got into live shrimp, and then because I was stationed here in the Coast Guard in 2007. Then I transferred over to Charleston, South Carolina, and I just didn't have the time to fish anymore.
Yeah.
So when I got back, I wanted to get into fishing, but going to school full time and things like that, I never really tried to fish again. And then you go and marry me and my wife.
I did. I've done a few weddings.
Yeah. Then you
the
went to
ministry.
go. You married me and Caitlin,
Yeah.
and our friendship grew, and I can honestly say I've learned a lot from you to the point to where there's no bait allowed on my boat anymore.
We've had a lot of fun fishing in the past, that's for sure, and you've definitely come a long way from when I first met you. I mean, and your son as well, Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie's got his captain's license now, and
he likes to call himself Captain Carlos.
Captain Carlos, and he's learning, and shortly, as we all know, my fishing cabin has been up at the Fisher Market over here on Laguna Shores for over a year now. And good old Aaron Salazar and S&S Painting and Drywall, they're going to start working on it this coming week and get that thing knocked out for me, and we'll have it back down in Baffin, and we'll have some weekend fishing trips coming up.
I can tell you, my first real experience just being, I guess, saltwater fishing is, I remember you told me, I wade fish.
Yeah.
I was like, go get wading boots. Okay. And then you're like, I only fish with lures. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm fine with lures. I can cast and I can retrieve. Because I used to bass fish. So I was like, I'm fine with lures. I can cast. It's like the whole wading experience was new for me that first time we went to the cabin.
Right.
Actually, Felix, my 2-year-old, had just been born.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Caitlin. She really puts up a lot with me. She gave me the opportunity. She does put up with, she puts up with a lot, and she gave me the opportunity to go out there for me and Johnny to go out there. And I can tell you, it was the first time that I was able to be successful, all because of your tutelage. I learned so much on just that one trip, to the point to where I had a boat. I bought a boat, and I was literally I didn't know how to use my jack plate. I didn't know how to run skinny.
Right.
Just in that one trip, my confidence in running skinny and learning what I needed to do as an angler to get and what to look for.
Right.
I just learned so much on that first trip that when I went out by myself, we actually started catching fish again.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, the first couple times, probably the first year that I owned my boat, I would just go out, power pull down, and then just cast out just blindly, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to look for.
And anybody can go fishing, but not everybody can catch fish.
Exactly.
And it's kind of, it takes time. You have to learn the water. You have to learn where you can and can't go. You have to learn how to find, fish. And I'm not talking about, schools of keeper trout either. As well as I do, I could care less about going out and catching a bunch of keeper trout. I like to go out and catch big trout.
Right.
And anybody that knows me well knows that I have no problem going out and targeting redfish, because I used to do it when I was guiding all the time. But it's not one of my favorite things to do, but I do it. I can do it. So, I go out and catch my trout, and then once I'm satisfied, I'll go chase some redfish every now and then. But
So on that note, what got you into guiding?
So I was fishing out of Bluff Landing Marina, which I still fish out of. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the guides, I would come in on the weekends and, have solid fish, had a solid day. And a couple of the guides kind of cornered me one day, and they said, hey, why don't you get your captain's license and we'll start feeding you some trips. So, I went and got my captain's license, and they started feeding me some trips. And quite honestly, I'd never fished with bait before, besides when I was a kid fishing with my dad off piers and off his boat. Mm-hmm. And he was the kind of fisherman that liked to drift fish with shrimp or fish under the lights at night at red dot or something like that. And so that's kind of all I knew. And when I moved here full time, I've been fishing here since I was little. Mm-hmm. My dad's owned a condo on the island since I was 9, and he's an avid fisherman. So I've been fishing here since I was a kid. But I met a guy named Paul Houston. Mm-hmm. And Paul Houston's a local guy now. He's lived here for a long time, but he lived up by Houston, and when he was 15, he went to work for what was it called? One of the sporting goods stores. They're no longer around anymore, but there was a customer that came in all the time named Rudy Grigar. And if you look up Rudy Grigar, he wrote the book Plugger.
Yeah.
And he's the one that taught Paul how to fish. He was one of Paul's customers, and he really took to him, and he used to take him to Chandelier Islands and everything else. If you read the book, it's a really good read. So I met Paul, and I was living here, and I already owned a boat, and I was fishing all the time. And I kind of got into throwing topwaters, drifting and throwing topwaters over Shamrock Cove area and catching redfish and, your trout every now and then, right? And, Paul's like, well, let's go wade fishing. And I'm like, well, shoot, I haven't wade fished. And I was in my early 20s. And he goes, well, let's go to Roy's Bait and Tackle and get what you need to get. So, okay. So we went to Roy's Bait and Tackle, and he's got a little, one of the Mayak scooters, and he had it completely redone. So it's a real clean boat. It's a beautiful boat.
Those are nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
They don't make them anymore, right?
No, and it runs, that thing will run and spit, it's just it's a cool boat. And so we went out wade fishing, and we caught a lot of fish. And of course the limit was you could keep a lot more back then. And I just got addicted. I literally that day got me addicted to wade fishing. And I just never turned back. And that's my only hobby is fishing.
Yeah.
That is it. That is what I like to do.
I call this my hobby.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can say that wade fishing actually, honestly, just it's all I do now, pretty much. Well, I'll drift. There's days where I don't feel like getting in the water and having to dry up. But
so let's talk about weekend anglers wanting to fish tournaments for a minute. Okay. My theory is there are a lot of tournaments, right? There are a lot of benefit tournaments and, tournaments that companies put on. And, we've got, I believe the Texas Rangers have their tournament coming up. I think Alex is going to run that tournament. Alex Guerra.
Yeah, I did see it.
He's going to run that this year. I kind of called him up and said, hey, these guys need some help. And Alex was nice enough to do the weigh-in and stuff for him. So that's coming up. But my thing is, if you're a beginner angler or a weekend angler and you want to get and go fish in a fishing tournament, just to learn the ropes, I guess you could say, to learn the ropes, pick a good benefit tournament. They don't usually cost a lot to fish. The competition can be there because there are some pretty competitive tournament fishermen that will join those, or else they'll donate their time to take out the Rangers and stuff. But it's a fun tournament. Those are fun tournaments to do. You kind of learn the ropes. You see how everything works. But then you've got guys like, which I never really considered, I owned a tournament company, but I never looked at anybody as competition. I looked at them as friends that had tournament companies, and I fished some of their tournaments, right? I never held anything against anybody when it came to tournaments. It was just fun. I just enjoyed it. But you've got Ron Henney and Chad Pederick and guys like that. Now that's kind of next level stuff. Mm-hmm. Kind of like the pro stuff we were doing, but it's next level stuff. So
yeah, like the Redfish series that's going on this weekend, right?
Right. Yeah. So if I were getting into it, and at one point I did, I started by fishing some of the benefit tournaments and kind of wrapping my head around exactly what it is that they do and what they're looking for. Because there's just all kinds of different tournaments. Like you have your tournaments where you can use bait and they'll have a redfish and a trout and a black drum for the stringer, or you have a tournament where it's just nothing but redfish or nothing but trout, and you have your Texas Slam tournaments, and you've got, like the pro tournaments where, they have polygraphs and, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of you have to just put yourself out there, and you've got to get into it and read the rules and regulations real good and follow the rules and regulations of the tournament and go out there and fish your hardest. But, and I know a guy last week, he doesn't fish much, but he went out and just tore up the fish. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like I'm saying, any given day you can go out and do well.
Yeah.
So, to compete in these pro tournaments, there are things that you need. I mean, you're definitely going to have a good boat.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think keeps the average weekend angler from fishing a tournament?
I honestly just think so when we started the tournament company, one of the things we did is we did some Facebook videos and just walking through people through the entire process of fishing a tournament, the weigh-in, and I really think it's intimidation. Mm-hmm. They've never done it before. They're going to go out there and, these guys got 450s and 500s and, racing motors,
$160,000 boats,
SCD boats, yeah. And they've got all this heavy duty equipment. But like I said, we had two guys fish a redfish tournament at a 16-foot Mako with a 40 horse and went out and won it against the pros. So, and the other thing is too, the more people that get involved in these tournaments, the bigger the purse, the bigger the payout.
Yeah,
because it's all based on how many people register to fish the tournament.
Yeah.
So
I can tell you just as a weekend angler, probably the one thing that would keep me from it is, number one, the confidence that I would be able to catch fish. And sometimes, I guess the money. Because now me being in as part, that I was part of a tournament company, I knew what the entry fee was. It's not as expensive as people think.
No, because normally, most tournaments are 2 to 4 people.
Exactly.
And you split the entry fees up, and then you have side pots and Calcuttas. But if it's $700, and you split it between 3 or 4 people, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's really. $175 a piece.
Yeah, it's it's not that big of a deal, and quite honestly, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. The tournaments are fun. I fished, some of Chad's tournaments, the Saltwater Legends and stuff, and had a great time. The Artificial Showdown that Billy McNeil runs, I fished that last year. I skipped a year and then fished it the year before that with Adrian Washnag and Josh Dale and Noah Gonzalez. And, it's fun.
It is fun. It is fun.
It is a good time.
Because I fished my first tournament with Brock.
Yeah. Not Lesnar, right?
No.
Oh, Barton?
Barton. I fished my first tournament, thanks to you. And I can tell you, it was a lot of fun. We came in third. I caught the only trout that, because it was 2 reds and a trout, the stringer was, and I caught the only trout, so I got to weigh in my trout.
There you go.
But, I can say that it was a grind that day, but I had a lot more fun fishing with those guys, and just I don't know, I guess the adrenaline.
Yeah.
The adrenaline of like being out there and knowing that, you have to be productive.
Yeah.
To be able to come in. Because, just fishing, just running the tournaments and seeing some of the tournaments, like specifically the Mayak owners, they'll have, 100, 150 team entries.
That's a big tournament.
Yeah, and then we would only weigh in 50, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you'd have 700 anglers fishing that tournament.
Yeah, and only 50 teams come in and weigh in fish.
Yeah.
It's, well, of course, that one, a lot of people just go in to get their tickets to win that boat.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
I've done that twice.
Yeah. So with that said, how many tournaments or how many tournaments have you fished?
I don't even know. Don't even know. Back when Jeff Austin was here doing tournaments, I fished quite a few of his.
Yeah.
So, not to mention
How many did? Okay.
benefit tournaments, artificial showdown.
How many have you won?
Legends. Won. I'm like Mr. Second and third place king for some reason, or top 10.
Yeah.
It's just is what it is. You know what I mean? I mean, you've got a team.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. It's like last tournament I fished, and I'm not going to name names, but last tournament I fished, two of the guys pre-fished for several days, right? And they used a particular lure, and they did well. Well, we go to fish, the day before the tournament to pre-fish, all of us as a team, and that night, the weather changed.
Yeah.
Cold front blew in. Yeah. It was raining. It was windy. And I mean, the next day when we go to fish, you couldn't even fish. It was so bad. I mean, the wind was blowing 50 plus miles per hour. It was raining sideways. It just wasn't the elements that you want to be out there fishing. Right. So we didn't fish that day. And we went out tournament day, and everything changed. The lure that they had literally, I mean, just the huge trout they were catching, 28 plus, bunch of them. And they were sending me pictures for 3-4 days in a row of these big trout. And they just were not hitting that lure anymore at all. We fished that lure for probably 4 hours, 4 of us, and we caught a few dinks.
Yeah.
And then one of our anglers on the team switched over to one of my favorite lures, which is the plum with a green tail, Die Dapper by Bass Assassin, and whack, nailed a big trout, and I switched immediately.
Yeah.
Bam, nice trout, right? We caught numerous nice trout, but we couldn't get the other guys to switch. So that's the kind of thing that anglers need to know when they're out there fishing, and you've got, when in Rome, do as the Romans.
Yeah, I mean, it's about doing adjustments.
Yeah, you have to switch it up, and a lot of people get dedicated to something because they've been using it for the past few days, and it's produced, and then all of a sudden we have a weather change or something, and they're not hitting that lure. They just for some reason did not want that lure.
Yeah, it's called being hard-headed.
Yeah, you got to switch it up and change around until you find something that they're going to want to eat. And he actually found the lure they wanted to eat, and I switched up, and we did, we caught some good fish, but we needed some more.
Yeah.
And
what kind of a tournament was that?
It was a lure tournament.
Okay. Was it the type that you?
It was a pro lure tournament.
So you measure the fish, like you weigh the fish.
Weigh the fish in on a scale yourself and send the video in.
Yeah.
Man. And that's kind of the trend with trout now. I mean, you can't weigh in, or you can't keep a big trout, So that's kind of the trend with trout in tournaments, is using the scales. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the Foreverlast scale. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't like it.
The Everlast scale, the orange one?
Yeah, the orange one, it's cheesy. I'm sorry, it's cheesy. The Catch Commander scale is way better. It's way more quality. I mean, it's a difference of spending $30 and spending $100 on a scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think I would do a tournament with the Everlast scale myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've seen, because I know the tournaments that we ran, we used the Catch Commander, and it was, I don't know, it looked easy to use. So
yeah, in comparison, and I will tell you this too. You have to certify those Catch Commander scales. They sell a 5-pound weight, and as a tournament director, we always certified our scales. We always made sure they were all set right. You have to do that out of the box. You can buy a brand new one and it's off, and they can get off a couple ounces pretty quick. Oh
no, that's
one of the things that I hear a lot of anglers say though is I mean, they're pretty accurate, right? But one of the things I hear a lot of anglers say is that, well, I weighed my fish once, and the guy forgot to hit record on his phone, and so when we went to do it the second time, it didn't weigh as much. Well, okay, think about this. First time you pull the fish out of the water, it's full of water.
Mm-hmm.
You go to weigh it again, there's water has run out of it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to weigh as much.
Right.
Right. So the thing that I found that you need to do is you need to put it back in your weighting bag, or you need to put it back in your net and let it absorb water again, let it swallow water again for a while, and then you weigh it.
Pro tip right there.
Yeah, then you weigh it.
So, so let's touch a little bit about your situation when you were on that tournament. About observing what's going on and adjusting. What other than catching fish? Well, I guess that's the main thing. What makes you adjust or change from what was working an hour ago to making the switch into another bait?
So, if I'm catching good fish, I'm not gonna switch. If I'm catching good fish, I'm not gonna switch. I'm gonna stick with what I'm using. Why would I change?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I'm catching good fish. But it's kind of one of those things where when you go out wade fishing and you pick the lure that you think is going to work for the day, right?
Right.
For the moment, and you're fishing it, you really need to work that lure in different ways. So you may start out, and you need to be consistent, in my opinion. You need to start out, I reel a little slow, keep the lure low to the bottom, and I'll do that and try that for a while, and then if that's not working, I'll speed my reel up a little bit or change my action a little bit, and I'll stay consistent with that reel speed and action to see if that's going to work. And if that doesn't work, then I change it up again, and I keep changing until I figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And really, it's you have to be that methodical, in my opinion. If the fishing, there's some days you go out there and you can throw a jalapeno in the water and catch a fish.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. They'll have feeding frenzies and they'll just be going crazy. And, some days it's just easy. But you get those winter days where you're fishing cold front or after a cold front has blown out or right before, right before is usually good, right?
Right.
But afterwards is usually not so good for a couple days until everything settles back down. Those days are some of the days I've caught my nicest trout.
Before the cold front?
No, after.
After?
Yeah, after. But it's a long grind. It's a long day. You might fish for 2 hours and not even catch a fish.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah, but you gotta be dedicated to it. You're there.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta be dedicated to it and figure it out. But it's all about trying something, stay consistent with it. If that doesn't work, change it up a little bit.
Hey, let me get one of those beers.
Eventually, you want a Miller Lite?
Yes, I want a Miller Lite.
Golly. We can do that.
Yeah. So, I guess on the topic of being persistent and then just changing, what causes you to switch spots?
So, like I said, I like to target big trout. That's what I like to do. Right. But even if I'm targeting redfish, if I'm not catching the size fish that I want to catch, then I will go change spots. And generally, I don't just go and fish this spot or that spot, or hey, we were down at Cathead 2 months ago and we tore them up. Let's go try that.
Mm-hmm.
Fish swim, right? They move. Just because you caught them there 2 months ago doesn't mean you're going to catch them today.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I ran into is first starting, and I got my boat. I would catch fish, one day, and then I caught fish, so I'd go back there, the following week, and then just get skunked.
So I'm just going to sum it up this way. I've had numerous friends in the past go, I'm going to run down to Tide Gauge Bar and fish tomorrow, and I'm like, okay, so are you going to run the King Ranch Shoreline? You're going to run pins? What are you going to run? Well, I'm going to run pins. Okay, cool. So if you're running pins and you see signs of bait, are you going to fish? You're going to keep going to the Tide Gauge Bar and take a chance. So my whole point is that you have to go find them. If you've noticed when you fish with me, I don't just go, I'm going to run to the spot.
Yeah.
I start running the direction I want to go, which is generally towards Baffin, which is where I like to fish, right? And when I see signs of, when I see the signs I want to see, then I'll pull in and fish.
So what are those signs?
It depends. It can be current. It can be bait flipping. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Like, for instance, you're looking for redfish. I mean, and you have clean water and you see a section that's muddy. Could be black drum, right? But
Right.
could also be redfish. So, I'll park the boat up from them, power pull down, wade into it, and see what I can find. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of little sloughs that come off the King Ranch shoreline and that you can fish where there's current. But you need to make sure there's bait. If there's not bait,
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've learned from you is that if you don't see bait, don't even just stop. Just keep on going.
It depends. Some days you don't find bait.
Right.
But you still have to find the fish, and you look for other signs. Current, you fish structure. If it's a windy day, you get on the opposing side of the island where the wind's not quite so bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fish those areas, but it just depends on what it is you're looking for, what kind of fish you're doing. Like, black drum fishing, going out and soaking some shrimp for some black drum. I mean, that's also, you got to find them.
Yeah. So back to, of course, you gained all this experience from guiding.
I would say I fished a lot longer before I started guiding than I have since I started guiding. You know what I mean?
So you learned.
I've got more years before guiding than, quite honestly, most of what I learned about wade fishing came from Paul Houston. It came from Paul. Paul and I fished a lot together. And, I'll say it to this day, I don't think there's a better wade fisherman out there than Paul Houston.
Mm.
I mean, he is.
I've got to meet him.
So,
I got to meet him at the cabin.
I will tell you something, and I think the way that he taught me wade fishing and finding fish is something that most people don't do these days.
Yeah.
We would pull into an area on that little scooter, and the first thing he would do, he pulled into an area for a reason, right? He saw bait, and this guy literally pays attention to ospreys. He pays attention to everything. He stops the boat, drifts for a little while without a rod in his hand, has his wading boot down in the water, looking at water clarity, depth, checking out his surroundings, and he might decide, this isn't the spot. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
I don't feel it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right to me. And a lot of times, it is feeling. There are times I've jumped out of the boat and said, I'm just not feeling the spot,
Yeah.
And I'm 20 minutes into a wade, and I'm like, I'm just not feeling the spot. And it just doesn't look right to me. So I leave.
So it has a lot to do. Yeah. So we get back to your experience, your time on the water.
Yeah, it's you get it. You might think a spot looks good, and then you get into it, and you're like, man, the bait's just not quite what I thought it was. The water clarity's not quite what I thought it was. There's tons of grass in this area, and and grass. Don't get me wrong, grass can, floating grass can mess up your fishing if you don't know what to do to fish in floating grass.
Yeah. So I will say, I know we're covering a lot right now, but for those of you out there that are watching us, we are going to be covering what to look for, specific signs, stuff like that. Mostly today, it's, I guess, our first episode. We want to make it into introducing who we are, and we will cover what to look for, what kind of bait to look for, and things like that to go find. I don't know.
We're going to have guests.
Yeah, we are going to have guests. Matter of fact, there's somebody sitting in the wings right now that would like to jump on.
You want to jump on?
Yeah, bring your chair, put it right here.
So this is
so it's
the newfound Captain Carlos.
Yeah. Oh, watch
AKA
out.
Charlie.
Watch out. Yeah. Where at? Right there. Right here. Hold on.
But
the new guy.
Yeah. So Charlie got his captain's license recently, and he is, I guess, in the beginning stages of what we could call a future career, because he wants to do it full time at some point.
He would like to. Yeah.
He would like to do it full time at some point, and we are going to teach him everything that he needs to know. He's going to start
Let's
going
see if we
with
got
me.
good audio. Go ahead and say something.
Can we hear you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Are we
yeah,
here?
yeah.
Okay.
You're coming on there.
So he's going to start going with me, and eventually we'll be running my 22 Mayak Extreme,
Yeah.
doing some wade fishing trips. Or are you going to wade fish trip, or are you going to do bait, or what are you going to do?
Wade?
You going to wade fish?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Good deal. So he'll be out there, and I believe his dad here, Carlos, is going to get him a website going. And
I mean, I will. Yeah. I mean, so of course. I mean, it's
Facebook
it's a
page,
given. It's a
all 9
given. I
yards.
mean, it's not like I'm gonna, it's one of the things. Like I said, it's a hobby.
yeah,
The
you going
whole
to get him a
website
MySpace?
thing. Yeah, definitely, yeah, because we want to make sure that he gets on MySpace,
That's a new thing,
Yeah. So, can you hear, or are you hearing through the earphones, or you? No. Okay,
Can't hear anything. He doesn't need to hear anyway.
let's. Carlos.
I'm not used to you calling him Carlos.
Yeah, me neither.
I call him Way.
Yeah. Let me have someone check our audio. Make sure that they can hear him. But tell us a little bit. Why did you? First off, why fishing? What got you into fishing?
I don't know, just of course my dad doing the father thing and bringing his son to go fishing on the lake.
Yeah. Lake Casablanca.
Casablanca. Going catching bass and catfish, like channel cats and flatheads. And where it really kicked off was when I caught my first 4-pound bass, and we got it mounted.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it really kicked off. And then also my uncle, him getting his bass boat and taking me go bass fishing.
I know it's kind of awkward, but if you want to turn around, you can.
He's fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, like I said, I was a bit successful. I would say I was consistent on freshwater.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that day when he pulled in that fort.
Oh, yeah.
He was 3?
I think so.
2.
You know the difference between a freshwater fisherman and a saltwater fisherman?
No.
Corrosion X.
See, but we didn't have a boat that day. Like, we were fishing off the bank.
Yeah.
Again, before I was in the Coast Guard already, so I had tapered off fishing, and I took him fishing to go. We went to go visit my mom, and I was like, hey, let's go fishing at Lake Casablanca, and we were using bobbers and minnows, going after
Where in the
crappie.
world's Lake Casablanca?
Laredo.
Oh, I had no clue.
Yeah.
And
And
it really dried up.
it's dried up right now. But yeah, it's
The water don't have salt in it. I really don't.
no.
like it.
Dude,
Not even in a pool.
I
like saltwater pools.
I have pictures of me catching slabs of crappie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to fish crappie with small jigs and stuff like that. And
So let's ask Charlie a question here. You went to the Sea Academy, right? Mm-hmm. How was it?
It was very, 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 very helpful, and I really, really, really loved it.
Did you?
Yes.
Who was your instructor?
Um.
Was it Captain Robert?
Yes.
The son or the dad?
The son.
Okay, when I went, it was the dad.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not Robert. It's the other son.
Okay.
The other twin.
I don't know his name.
I forgot his
Yeah.
name.
But Sea Academy is where you go. It's a,
most
you know,
definitely.
yeah.
I've been there.
They teach you how to they teach you everything you need to know about the water. How to not be dumb.
How to not be done. You struggled with that one before you went to the school, or?
Now, but yes, it's if you want it to be one-on-one, you can be one-on-one, but I really do recommend it.
Good. Good deal.
You know, I went to the Sea Academy. It's funny because when he called, he was like, what'd they tell you?
Oh yeah, so when they called me, or no, when I called and asked if I can join one of the classes, they said they asked it for my information, for my name and my last name, and I was like, oh, Carlos Obregon, and they were like, do you have family that came here before? And I was like, yeah, my dad. And he was like, did he get his captain's license? I was like, no, he was in the Coast Guard. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember him. One of those, I remember him.
Yeah, I went and got my deck watch officer qual.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it was part of I guess for me to go up in rank, I needed to be a deck watch officer qualified, and the Coast Guard paid for, I think it was like 10 of us to go to the Sea Academy and get our deck watch officer qual. I remember the first 2 days was kind of easy because they literally teach you from nothing. Like they teach you basic nav rules, and of course we were all bosun's mates. We were all.
I did navigation in Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah,
I don't think I need to know how to do that.
Yeah, no. That's and what's funny is that whenever in bosun's mate A school, when I went to bosun's mate A school, I actually navigated Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah.
But because for the captain's license, they use everything that the Coast Guard uses. Mm-hmm. Everything's based out of Chesapeake Bay. But so I want to say the first 2 days, because we were all basic nav rules qualified, all of us. The first 2 days they were probably the first hours they were like trying to teach us, and we were just like, yeah, what's this?
You know,
everybody?
I'm gonna say this. So, speaking of fishing guides, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of people out there that hire fishing guides, and they complain about the price. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's a lot of work.
Dude.
Believe me. I mean, you're up at 4 a.m, and the day before you're getting the boat ready for, the fishing day, and, you take them out, put them on fish. You get some anglers that are fishing with you that, aren't the best to deal with. You get some that are really cool. And then, you come back to the boat ramp, 2, 3 o'clock, whatever, 1 o'clock, and clean fish, take pictures, and then the work starts all over again. You got to clean the boat. You got to get your gear ready for the next day. You got to gas up the boat. You've got a boat payment. You've got equipment that you purchase. You've got insurance you pay for. You got fuel expense. You've got all this stuff. And, you got some of these guides out there that, quite honestly, in my opinion, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, no.
You get what you pay for. You can hire an inexpensive guide, but you get what you pay for. I mean, I think of it this way. I'm not going to go to Walmart and buy a pair of tennis shoes.
No.
I'm going to go buy a good pair of tennis shoes. And I'm going to do the same thing if I hire a fishing guide, because I want to have a good experience on the water.
Exactly.
And, a lot of these guides that aren't charging much, may not have insurance. They may not have good equipment. You know what I mean? They're not going to take you very far. They're not going to try real hard, You get what you pay for. And there's days when you go fishing, Carlos, as you know, even the pro fishermen, the guides, everybody has a good day and everybody has a bad day.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So when you hire a fishing guide, get a good fishing guide. Do your research, get a good fishing guide. And remember, it's about the experience of being out there on the water. It's not necessarily about going out there and catching a ton of fish. It's about the experience. You're paying for the experience.
Yeah, what I also doing your research, I will say there are fishing guides out there that'll take you. You'll pay for a 6-hour trip. You catch your limits, and you're coming back.
Yeah,
whether it's an
put you
hour
on black drum and come back. Which I've never done that. I was always, I've always done the trips where generally, you know me, I leave before daylight.
Yeah.
And I don't get them back to the boat ramp till 2 o'clock, 2:30.
Yeah. I know, because
that's
when
a
I go
full
out
day.
fishing with you, I get phone calls like, "Where you at? I'm on my way."
You know what I say? Don't go with me if you expect to be back at a certain time, because
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
No. Yeah, and then you got to wake up. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story. I had a friend of mine was going to go fishing with me, and we were at a birthday party. Mm-hmm. And he introduced me to another friend of his, and he said, "Hey, do you mind if this guy comes with me? You know, it comes with us." And I said, "No, I don't mind." So I'd been on good fish down at the Tide Gauge Bar, and we had caught some nice trout down there. So we went down the following day, and this guy about 10 o'clock in the morning, he goes, "Hey, what time we leaving? I got to be back by 11."
Ooh.
And I'm like, I didn't know this guy. I'd met him the night before at this party, right? And you might want to grab this one.
Yeah.
And so it's like 10 a.m. He's saying, "Hey, I got to be back by 11." I'm like, "Well, it's a 30-minute trip back." And I said, "I didn't spend the money I spent on gas to come down here and fish till 10 and take you back. So it looks to me like you're going to be late."
Yeah.
You know, because I'm going to quit fishing when I'm done fishing. So I got him back to the boat ramp about 3:30, and he had a thing he had to go do with his wife. And about 2 weeks later, I was back at my buddy's house again, and he had people over for a barbecue, and that guy was over there with his wife, and his wife's like, "So you're the guy that didn't get my husband back in time." And I said, "You know what? If he would have told me he needed to be back by 11, I would have told him I wasn't taking him."
Exactly.
He didn't tell me that till we were down in Baffin Bay.
Yeah, that's one of the things too. Like, if you're gonna go out fishing with somebody, you're at the mercy of the captain of the boat.
You're at the mercy of the captain. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And boats don't run on air; they run on gas.
Yeah.
So always pony up and help your buddy out with some gas money or something. I mean, it's just common. Some people may not take it, but it is nice gesture to have it offered, you know.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So tell me about your most memorable tournament.
My most memorable tournament.
You as an angler, not as a tournament director. We'll get to that in the future.
Okay.
But you as an angler.
So as an angler, I have a fishing cabin, obviously, down at Baffin. And I met Kevin Carden, owned Mermaid Rods, a guy named Chris Grota, and a guy named Captain Rodney Gray out of Rockport. And I became friends with Chris through somebody else. I don't even remember who anymore. And we decided to go do a cabin trip. So he asked me, "Hey, can I bring my buddies Kevin and Rodney?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I don't care, you know." So we jumped in the boat one Friday evening and ran down to Baffin and, barbecued and did our thing that evening, and got up the next morning and went fishing. And they wanted to go catch redfish.
Mm-hmm.
So we go in. We had two boats. One of them followed me, right? And we go into 9 Mile Hole, and I'd been on good redfish. I was guiding all the time back then. And we were throwing the maulers with the white gulp shrimp under a mauler.
Yeah,
right?
that's your go-to redfish.
It is. I like fishing that for redfish. And we tore them up. And we get back to the cabin, and we stay another night, Saturday night. We're having a few cold Miller Lights out on the back of the cabin, watching the sun go down and stuff after a good day fishing, barbecuing and stuff. And they said, "Hey, there's a tournament coming up. Want to know if you would fish with us." And so you had to have, it was a Texas Slam tournament. It was a trout, a redfish, and a flounder, right? And, the reds, in my opinion, were going to be easy, right? Trout,
Flounder is the hard part.
Flounder was the tougher one of the three. And so we ended up fishing this tournament. I agreed. We fished this tournament. And I take him down, and, Chris and I actually stayed in the boat because I had to run the boat. And we were throwing maulers for and the white gulp for redfish, and we caught our weight in redfish that day. We dropped off Rodney and Kevin to Wade to fish for trout and flounder, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped them off in a spot that I knew there were flounder at. So Chris and I, we come putting up to behind Kevin and Rodney, and I'm like, hey, did y'all get the flounder? I wasn't worried about the trout because we caught trout ourselves, right? And Rodney turns around and said, nope. Kevin's like, nope, haven't caught one yet. And Rodney cast out, and I'm not kidding, just a big old flounder just nailed his lure. And we get that flounder in the boat. It was the only thing we needed. We fly back to Marker 37 Marina, that's where Jeff Austin was holding the tournament time. And we ended up, third place, which was respectable, but still, it was a fun tournament. I really enjoyed that tournament, fishing it. It was just a fun tournament. So, old Jeff's up in Matagorda doing the hook spit stuff, doing the camps. They have the hunting camps for the kids and fishing tournaments and stuff.
Oh, dang. Well, we were supposed to keep this as a half an hour.
Yeah,
right?
we didn't do that. We're an hour. So.
Yeah, we're running at an hour.
So next show we'll have somebody on.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have another angler on.
We'll have a little bit of setup. We'll have a little better setup for next time.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about tournaments and how to prepare for them
and
what to expect,
what to look for.
Exactly.
For anglers to for your weekend angler to be out there to be more productive. And that's really the main, I guess it was the main premise as to what we wanted to start this.
I plan on having, I'd love to have, like Chad Pederick on with Saltwater Legends at some point, have him talk about a Saltwater Legends series and, what he's going to do with it in the future and what he's done in the past. And Ron Henney also, and, some of the guys who own tournaments. Alex Garrett does the weigh-in stuff. See if we can get him on sometime. There's tons of anglers out there. Brandon Mondine, Captain Adrian Washnag, Captain Joe Mendez. I mean, there's all kinds of Aaron Salazar who fishes pro tournaments. Larry Rao. We'll see if maybe one day we can get Chris Yost in here. Chris has hook set marine gear. He has the Rojo Classic up in Port O'Connor. Maybe we can get the guys from the Mid-Coast Smackdown to come on at some point.
Yeah.
We'll get some people in to discuss tournaments and what they've got going on in the future and how you can register, what to expect, that kind of thing.
And then your resident Coastie will also talk about being safe on the water.
Yes, safety on the water and boat ramp courtesy. Courtesy when you're fishing. When you're out running a boat, you come across some waders or whatever. So there's a lot of content that we need to cover.
Yeah.
In the future,
So everybody, thank you for joining. I know there was a couple people on the chat Jeff talk about West Virginia fishing. That's something we'll touch on. I know.
Yeah, we can touch on that at some point.
And Madison, two famous people on one podcast. I don't know.
My lovely daughter.
Yeah, I don't know about how famous I am.
Me either.
Yeah, but everybody, thank you very much for tuning in, and we're gonna do this weekly.
Yep.
Yeah, weekly, and Charlie will be able to.
Thursdays.
Charlie will be able to come in, and everyone, we'll get you in more, and once the setup is a little better. Yeah, this one
Trial
is our trial.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody and those who are going to listen. Catch our podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. This will be uploaded tomorrow. It's a little late for me to edit it today, but iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Amazon Music Podcast, stuff like that. You'll be able to catch our podcast on all your favorite platforms. All right.
And until next time.
Until next time.
Tight lines.
Tight line.